Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to an exciting session. I'm 𝐒𝐞𝐞𝐚𝐝𝐤. I look after 𝐂𝐳a𝐦. I welcome you all, especially our guests as well. Today's session is on leadership. हम incubation programs में अक्सर leadership बहुत ज़्यादा focus नहीं किया जाता, but we are focusing on leadership quite religiously. और हम बार बार आपको लीडरशिप पे सेशंस इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे होंगे. द पर्पस रियली इज़ कि हमारा जो एजुकेशन सिस्टम है उसके अंदर लीडरशिप कहीं भी एज ए सब्जेक्ट नहीं पढ़ाया जाता. वी वांट टू ब्रिज दैट गैप. और यहाँ पे स्पेशली जो एंटरप्रेन्योर्स आए उनके लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है. और टू ऑल दोज हु वर लिसनिंग टू अस रिमोटली डिजिटली, आवर स्टार्टअप्स स्पेशली, कि लीडरशिप इज़ सुपर इम्पॉर्टेंट. बिल्डिंग ए स्टार्टअप इज़ नॉट ईजी, बिल्डिंग ए बिजनेस इज़ नॉट ईजी गेम. And for that, the first product of your business or your startup is you. So you need to work on yourself. And if you can improve yourself, you can improve a business as well. And you're better placed to build a business as well. मैं बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लेना चाहता आपका, because मैं बोरिंग बातें करूँगा. थोड़ी एक्साइटिंग बातों की तरफ चलते हैं. I would like to introduce Azam Jamil साहब, Azam भाई to me, like a mentor to me. He is former federal minister, लेकिन ये सबसे बड़ा तारुफ नहीं है इनका. He is an illustrious career with hospitality industry. Hospitality industry के गुरु हैं. In hospitality is all about leadership. Like you have to be very nice to people to convince them to use your service and then to become a repeat customer of yours as well. इससे पहले ये एविएटर भी हैं. एयरफोर्स के साथ तो इनका एक बहुत पुराना और करीबी रिश्ता है जो मैं चाहूँगा ये खुद ही इंट्रोड्यूस करें आपको. उसके अलावा ही इज़ ए लीडरशिप गुरु, ही इज़ अ प्रोफेशनल ट्रेनर एंड व्हाट नॉट. एंड वी आर ऑनर्ड रियली कि ये आज हमारे पास आए हैं और आपसे बात कर रहे होंगे. और जस्ट लिसन टू हिम एंड लर्न फ्रॉम हिम. आज़म जमील साहब.
Sitting here is fine?
Oh, yes, yes.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Good. एक तो Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. When people ask me to do a leadership program, बेटा वीडियो ना बनाना, क्योंकि तुझे पता है आजकल रिमांड ज्यादा और बेल कम हो रही. वीडियो ना बनाना, बाकी जो मर्जी कर. I know we are going live, so when you get to my age, you become fearless. Whenever I do a training session on leadership in a multinational organization, it takes me 3 days, and even then, it's not enough. And Imran has given me 1 hour, so now I appreciate what a T20 feels like, you know. But I'm just going to, just speak about the basics. But let me start by, excuse me, by saying that जब मैं वज़ीर बना, तो वज़ीर जो है वो इनवाइट होते हैं बहुत सारे इवेंट्स पे, और उनका स्टेज से आने से पहले उनकी बड़ी तारीफ होती है. So I was invited to one such event, and the person, the master of ceremonies, said कि आज़म साहब की एक क्वालिटी है कि उन्होंने 6 हुकूमतों को डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली एडवाइस किया है ऑन टूरिज्म. और वो ज़िया-उल हक से शुरू हुए, और ज़िया-उल हक के बाद फिर पीपल्स पार्टी, फिर PMLN, फिर मुशर्रफ, करते करते उन्होंने 6 हुकूमतें गिनवा दी. तो जब मेरी बारी आई तो मैंने कहा जी मैंने 6 हुकूमतों को एडवाइस किया है, लेकिन मेरी वजह शोहरत ये नहीं है. मेरी वजह शोहरत ये है कि उन 6 की 6 ने मेरी एक बात नहीं मानी. That's why I'm famous. Nobody listens to me. And so it's a good start. बेटा वो क्लिक किधर है, क्लिकर मुझे दे. So my friend my friend Adil Hashmi calls you guys the generation of instant gratification, because you guys have a device in your hand which gives you instant gratification. If you want a pizza, guess what happens? And in 20 minutes it's there, right? If you want to listen to a song, Spotify, and in 2 minutes you're listening to that song. If you want to see a movie, it takes you 10 minutes to track it down. If you want to buy a new shirt, you simply order it online and it will be with you in 2 or 3 days. So everything in your life is instant. And there's nothing wrong with that. You guys are born in the age, I am from a generation of delayed gratification. If I asked my father for a shirt, he said, "Eid aa rahi hai November ich." And that was the end of that chapter, right? There's nothing wrong with instant gratification. You guys deserve it because it's a part of your lives. The mistake you make is when you apply instant gratification to 2 areas. One is work and the acquisition of skill. इसमें जब instant gratification expect करते हो, तो you're asking for disaster. And the second thing is relationships. Both these things do not work through an app. This requires relentless effort and a lifelong effort, and you're still not done. So do not apply your normal instant gratification culture in these 2 areas. अगर कल को गिटार भी उठा लोगे ना कि मैंने बजानी है, तो 8 महीने के बाद सिर्फ जीवे जीवे पाकिस्तान ही बजा रहे हो. And you'll be embarrassing your parents में से बेटा जरा सुनाओ ना अंकल आंटी को. So these things take a lifetime. So fine, you'll get that pizza on time, you'll get the shirt on time, you'll hear the music on time, but work will not be there because you would like to be there. Your skill level is a lifetime away. And your relationships are a lifetime away. So just remember this. Do not apply instant gratification. The other thing you are the generation of running away. Nobody knows how to run away better than you. जो चीज़ पसंद नहीं आई, उठाया नेम टैग फेंका कि क्यों छोड़ के आए थे नौकरी, और सर जी वो बॉस मेरा नहीं ठीक था. तो मैंने कहा जो इस इदारे में है वो मक्के मदीने से डायरेक्ट इंपोर्ट हुआ है. मैंने कहा वो उसका भी मामा होगा, फिर कब भागोगे? And how far will you run? And you guys run before you stay. It's the easiest thing to do. It requires no courage. Leaving an organization requires no courage. All you need to do is write 4 lines and give it to HR. But remember, if you have developed the habit of running, you will run all your life. Okay, so let's move on. So, what will be your challenges? Okay, these are just generic. So first of all, let's go through a standard definition. So you guys are a small bunch. You know, you're not 200 people in a startup. Invariably, startups are very small. You're designed to grow rapidly, and you are innovative. You've entered into a market where you feel that there is a need for this product. That's why I'm here. Because you can't compete with products that people have been doing for 50 years, okay? Obvious, no, okay? And of course, the lowest common denominator of a startup is the risk. You have no idea whether it's going to work or not, but you've convinced somebody to support you, to fund you, and it comes with a high level of risk. My plea to you is don't increase that risk. जितनी है उतनी रहने दो. but don't do stuff that increases that. And you guys obviously need to be very, very flexible. You need to be able to move left or right based on how you're doing in the marketplace, okay? My father-in-law was one of Pakistan's leading industrialists in the 70s, 80s, 90s. And I asked him once, I said, how come you Chinyotis, he was from the Chinyot brotherhood. तो मैंने कहा आप लोग हर बिजनेस शुरू करते हो और कामयाब हो जाते हो, हम जिस चीज को हाथ लगाते हैं तो बेड़ा गर्क हो जाता है. So what is it? And he said something very interesting to me. He said, you guys start a business based on how easy it is to start it. And we start a business based on how easy it is to shut it down. Because the assumption is it will fail. So if you spend 10 rupees and if it does collapse, and collapse it will, how many of the 10 rupees will you recover? अगर 10 रुपए खर्च किए और 6 रुपए आ जाते हैं, so you've lost $4 in a bad decision, but those 6 rupees allow you to start again. You spend 10 rupees and you get 2 back. You say, Toba, LinkedIn खोलो जी कोई नौकरी ढूंढो. Enough of this crap. And we do have a habit of starting businesses. यार वो मेरे चाचा की दुकान है, वो खाली पड़ी हुई है, ट्रैवल एजेंसी ना खोल ले. Excellent idea. और ट्रैवल एजेंसी खुल जाती है. Not because they were passionate about the travel agency, it was easy to do. So always when you're starting new businesses, always have an exit plan. Is if this shuts down tomorrow, how much will I lose? What percentage of my investment will go away? And obviously you will lose a fair amount of money. But how much is that, okay? So, so here's what you need. All the items in red are what you need. You need a vision, because you are a startup and you are the owner of the startup, you are the leader. Anybody who works with you is looking for that vision. The other thing you need is people. You need a team. Because without a team, it's not going to happen. And let me give you something very dramatic, okay? Let me give you a statement. There is not a single instant in human history of individual success. There is not a single example in human history of individual success. Glory is individual. Success never is and never will be. So if any of you thinks कि मैं बहुत टीपू सुल्तान हूँ और मैंने ये अकेले कर देना है, it's never happened, ever. Okay? So yes, Imran Khan was holding the World Cup, right? But if Wasim hadn't taken those 2 wickets on those 2 deliveries, the World Cup would have gone, right? So who gets the glory? Today you still see Imran's picture on that poster. And you never see Wasim's picture. Edmund Hillary was the first man on Everest, right? In 1953. You and I perhaps remember his name. You do not remember the name of the 358 people that helped Edmund Hillary up to Mount Everest. So glory is individual, success never is. So remember one thing, if you need to be successful, you will need people. It doesn't matter how bright you are, it doesn't matter how intelligent you are. You will always need people. Then you need funding. Nobody knows this better than you guys. Okay? Especially startups, okay? And then you need a business plan. So no rocket science here, it's very basic, but I just thought I'd bring it up again, okay? So what happens? To be a leader, whether in a startup or this is what you need. Okay? And you notice what's missing here? There's no mention of authority. There's no mention of seniority. There is no mention of how many people work for you. Those things have got nothing to do with leadership. Leadership comes when you have these qualities. Okay? And you don't need to be a senior person to be a leader. I worked for hotels all my life, and during my careers I've seen bellboys who are better leaders than general managers. The general managers are very competent people, they are great bosses. But leadership qualities, I've seen certain bellboys. And what do bellboys do? They pick your luggage up. Okay? So this is the first thing that's going to hit you. And this is not restricted to startup leadership. This is in any form of leadership. You could be the leader of a very large established company, and every day you'll be hit with uncertainty. Every day. Something will happen outside that will need for you to change, to reassess. Okay? So read this. I'm not going to read this for you, and I'll go forward. So when things are uncertain, your people are looking at you to make decisions. फैसला करो यार. You need to decide. And yes, once you do decide, you will be making wrong decisions. Welcome to planet Earth. But people look at you to decide. Uncertainty will demotivate your team more than anything else. We believe कि इनको पैसे कम मिलते हैं तो ये demotivate हो जाते हैं ये वो. The biggest demotivator of your team will be when they see their leader indecisive. Okay, don't be indecisive. What else? Lack of resources. So this is a challenge that you people know better than I do. I have never worked for a startup. Well, now I am, but all my life I worked for very established companies. So we didn't have any issue. There were 10,000 people employed in the company and everything was working, okay? So if you don't have resources, you need to be creative, okay? You need to think of better ways to use that limited resource that you have, because resources will always be limited. Okay, what else? This, again, I've spoken about. This is going to be your biggest decision, is the people you allow to walk into that door. If you get a bunch of good people, trust me, half your battles are won. And believe this always, that you will not make it without them. It's as clear as crystal. History has shown this. You cannot make it without your people. So yes, you are a leader. You have the capacity to make decisions. You'll be, sometimes you'll have the last inning, मैं ऐसे कहता हूँ यूँ ही होगा, that's fine. But your team management will be a very, very big thing, okay? So this. Very simple, right? Sadly, no. Because to pitch your company, you don't need intelligence. Obviously, you're intelligent, that's why you have the startup. But to pitch your company, what you need is communication skills. If you can't talk, you're not going to get 10 rupees. Because before people look inside your brain, they are going to see कि 𝐶𝐞𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐵. So a lot of you have brilliant ideas. Guess what happens? They get buried because you can't communicate them. You can't convince your neighbor, let alone anybody else. And communication skills is primarily speaking skills. And you know why speaking skills in you guys are poor? It's simple. Because school, college, university taught you how to read and write. Speaking to aapka kaam tha. This you had to do. It wasn't the university's responsibility to make you speak. This is what you had to do. But you didn't. And you're still not doing it. And you're expecting some miracle to show up and some lightning to strike, and tomorrow morning you'll wake up and you'll be speaking well. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen when you lock yourself in the bathroom for 10 minutes every day, and you open your phone and you turn your recorder on and you say something. Whatever you say doesn't matter. And then you listen to yourself. And then you say it again, and then you listen to yourself. And if you do this, I promise you, in a couple of months, you'll be fine. But sitting at home doing nothing and saying कि जी मेरी communication weak है is not going to cut it. And you guys have done a lot of things that others were supposed to do for you, and they've done, and a lot of things that you were supposed to do, you've not done. And that's a separate session of mine, but I just want to quote an example for you to understand it. Because when you were in class 6, your social studies teacher came to you and said कि जी 23 मार्च को 1940 में रेजोल्यूशन हुई थी पाकिस्तान की, करारदाद मंजूर हुई थी. And you guys said, oh, really? Yeah. हाँ जी, बड़ा उधर ख्वाब अल्लामा इकबाल ने ख्वाब देखा था. And that you were told in class 6. And you said, thank you. And then the exam happened, and then you wrote the same thing in the exam, and you got through to class 7, which was fine. But to this date, you haven't read the resolution. Not one of you has read the resolution. रोना किस बात का है फिर? एक सफा है अंग्रेजी जुबान में. And not one of you has bothered to read it. Because this was your part of the bargain. उन्होंने तो बता दिया. Your biggest problem in 23rd March is कि चेक कर वीकेंड के नाल आ रही है कि नहीं आ रही. That's your biggest problem. और अगर 23 मार्च इतवार को आ जाए, अल्लाह माफ करे, इतनी मनहूस शक्लें मैं पाकिस्तान में जिंदगी में नहीं देखी. और अगर मंडे को आ जाए, हाय हाय जीवे पाकिस्तान, इधर से सजीले जवान निकलते हैं तो उधर चले जाते हैं, और ये पुत्र कभी हटा पे बिकते हैं, कभी नहीं बिकते. And you guys are the happiest lot in the world, but you still haven't read it. That's not what leadership is about. It's assuming your responsibility. कि ये काम मैंने करना था. उसी टीचर ने कहा कि पाकिस्तान का कौमी तराना हफीज जलंधरी ने लिखा, और वो भी आपने इम्तिहान में लिख के पास हो गए, लेकिन आपने ये कभी नहीं पूछा कि उसने कब लिखा. और आज पूछोगे तो पता चलेगा कि 1954 में लिखा. तो पाकिस्तान तो 47 में बना, तो 7 साल क्या गा रहे थे? फौज किसको सलूट मार रही थी? दिस इज योर पार्ट ऑफ द डील. ये जो सौदा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट साइन करके आए हो ना, दिस इज योर पार्ट ऑफ द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. तुम लोगों ने बाकियों सबसे काम करवा लिया, जो काम खुद करना था वो नहीं किया. एंड दैट्स नॉट गोइंग टू हेल्प यू इन योर लाइफ, ट्रस्ट मी. ओके, competition. If you can do it, somebody else can do it. So you will always need to be looking inside and figuring out how differently you can do it. कैसे आपने करना है, which will be a better product than the guy next door, because there will be plenty of guys next door. And another tip as I go along, if I was to remove you from this room and if I was to replace you with world champion sports people, if I was to replace you with the best tennis player in the world, with the best cricketer in the world, with the best athletes in the world, अगर आपको मैं इस कमरे से निकाल दूं और आपकी जगह वर्ल्ड नंबर 1 चैंपियंस को मुख्तलिफ स्पोर्ट्स में बैठा दूं, you know what's the difference between you and them? And you'll probably say, yeah, they work hard, they have commitment, they have passion. Yeah, they have all of that. But you know what the biggest difference is? All world champions have a coach. They're the world's best, right? Why would they need a coach? And you guys are allergic to coaching. तुम्हें कोई कह दे कि ये काम यूं कर लो, you start disliking that person. And if I tell you to think of a coach, you will have to go back to class 8 और कोई फिजिक्स का टीचर ढूंढोगे, वो कोच नहीं था, वो टीचर था. और फर्क ये होता है कोचिंग और टीचिंग में कि टीचर वो चीज पढ़ाता है जो किताब में लिखी होती है. And coach is not interested what's written in the book. He's looking at you. And he's seeing all the wrong things you are doing. And he tells you, ye kaam mat karo. I am 70 years old. And I don't have one, but I have 10 coaches who tell me on a daily basis of what I'm doing wrong. इससे बड़ी blessing हो सकती है. And you deprive yourself of that. Because यहाँ पन्ना को बैठा लिया है, and you don't like criticism? Is it making a difference to anybody else but you? Why are you allergic to coaches? I give an example. मैं अपने आप को ट्रेनिंग का बहुत टीपू सुल्तान समझता हूँ. A few years ago I was training at a multinational, and my old mentor, gentleman who's passed away, called Philip Lal. I met Philip in Lahore, and I said, and I got into training because of Philip. It was never a profession of mine, it was always a passion. And I told Philip, I said, gee, I'm training today, can you come and sit in my session for an hour and see how I'm doing? He said, I'd love to. And Philip was all of 82 years old. And he came and he sat there, and I was talking to these directors of this one of Pakistan's leading multinational corporations. And after an hour, when we took a coffee break, and I went to Philip, he had tears in his eyes. And he said, you make me so proud. And he left after that. And after that, for the rest of the training, मैंने तो किसी से बात ही नहीं की. मैंने कहा करो ना. मैंने कहा मेरे से तो बेहतर ट्रेनर कोई नहीं. And I was obviously in 7th heaven. But when I got home that night, I had a 2-page email from Philip Lal, and he had torn me to bits. He had torn me to shreds, telling me of what wrong I was doing in that 1 hour. And then I looked at myself and I said, yaar, isse better blessing ho sakti hai. And what did I do? From that, this was about 7 years ago, and from that, every time I come and stand here and speak, I say, yaar, am I doing what Philip told me not to do? How cool is that, yaar? And you guys want to deprive yourself of this blessing that you become allergic to coaching? Think about it. Okay? So growing will always be a challenge. There's a restaurant which is owned by a friend of mine in Karachi called 𝐋𝐞𝐚𝐝. And 𝐋𝐞𝐚𝐝 started in a small dingy room with 10 tables, and it's the most successful restaurant in Karachi. And after 20 years, it's still a small dingy room with 4 tables or 10 tables. he hasn't scaled it up because the positioning of that restaurant is what people like, and he's not taken 3 large buildings and turned it into Opera 2, or he's not gone to a shopping mall. He's just, so there's a temptation, there's a big, not a big, but there's a thin line between growing and losing your identity. There's nothing wrong with growing, but do not grow at the risk of losing identity. What your original position was, what you're famous for, what people like you to do, and why people follow you is because of this. And as you grow, never keep your original identity out of focus. It's always there, okay? And this, I'm one of the worst people in this department. You know, these compliances and government compliances, but you guys are starting up. You'll have to follow every rule. You'll have to go into FBR and SCCP and all that thing. It's very important, and you do it correctly. And you know, let me share a very encouraging statistics with you. Since Pakistan was made to 2018, we had about 70,000 companies registered in SCCP. So over 60 years, 70,000, which is a very, very depressing figure. In the last 4 years, 40,000 have registered. And you know who those guys are? You guys. That's the refreshing part. Because हम तो 70 साल में 70,000 ही रजिस्टर कर चुके, आप लोगों ने 4 साल में 40,000 रजिस्टर हो गए. So you're there. You're there, and you said, you raised your hand and you said yes. But is it easy? I'll be lying to you. You know, people say, जी, आप motivation speaker है. मैं कह, yes, but मैं झूठ नहीं बोलता. Motivation speaking doesn't mean lying. And are things tough outside? You better believe it. And I'm not one of those guys who want to say कि जी ये हुकूमत बुरी है तो वो अच्छी है और वो हुकूमत है. Things are generally bad. And if things are bad, does that make your life easier or tougher? अगर इम्तिहान ज्यादा सख्त है तो पढ़ाई ज्यादा करनी है कि कम? ज्यादा करनी है. You guys need to work hard. No, it's not your fault. But the conditions are such that you need to really work very, very hard. But do not wait for this. What's your name, beta? Zubair. So don't wait for this. Zubair साहब बाहर आ जाएं, पाकिस्तान ठीक हो गया. It's not happening. Because पाकिस्तान ठीक करने वाले अंदर बैठे हैं. Have I played a role in bringing Pakistan to this condition? Of course I have. I am as guilty as the guy next door. हमने बेड़ा गर्क किया है. But what does that mean? That you will carry on the same tradition, or fix it? And I want every one of you to think of their biggest weakness. Okay, I won't ask, but just think of your biggest weakness. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Whatever you think is your biggest weakness. The girls are very good at this. They've already thought about it, right? Okay, good. Now, what's the date today? Mariam, what's the date? 11th April 2023. Okay, let's go back to 11th April 2020. Let's go back 3 years. And my question is, did you have this weakness then? मुझे बताने की जरूरत नहीं, मुझे पता. ये तो शुक्र करो मैं 6 साल पीछे नहीं गया. क्यों पाल के बैठे हुए हो? किसने ठीक करनी है? और यहां बोर्ड क्या लगाया हुआ है? अशरफुल मखलूकात का बोर्ड लगा हुआ है ना। तो एक अपनी कमजोरी नहीं ठीक कर सके, और फिर जब मेरी उम्र के हो जाओगे ना, तो फिर अपनी नवासी को बिठा के कहना कि तेरी मैनू की अंग्रेजी अच्छी होती ना, उन्हें नायकैट की फटियां भन देनियां सी, एंड द नवासी गोड से मैनू जी सीख लेनी सी ना। 6 महीने का एफर्ट था सारी। दैट्स एग्जैक्टली व्हाट यू गाइस आर डूइंग। और ये जो वीकनेसेस हैं, इनमें सबसे बड़ी खूबसूरत बात है कि एक को ठीक करोगे दूसरी खड़ी हो जाती है। एंड नाउ एवरीबॉडी इज सेइंग यार मेरे पास स्ट्रेंथ्स भी तो बहुत है। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, देयर इज नॉट अ सिंगल पर्सन सिटिंग हियर दैट डजंट हैव स्ट्रेंथ्स, बट दिस फॉर्मूला डजंट वर्क। पाकिस्तानी कौम का सबसे बड़ा पास टाइम कीड़े निकालना है। दिस इज आवर नेशनल हॉबी। और आप लोग वो कीड़ा उनको प्लेट में पकड़ा देते हो। स्ट्रेंथ है, लेकिन इमेजिन करो कि सुबह इस कमरे में इमरान आके इंस्पेक्शन करता है, तो इमरान कहता है यार ये लाइट फ्यूज है, और जो यहां का मेंटेनेंस मैनेजर है कहता है इमरान साहब बाकी तो बढ़ रही हैं, की तकलीफ है। इट डजंट वर्क दैट वे। वो एक बत्ती जो फ्यूज्ड है वो 10 सही बत्तियों को लेके डूबती है। इसी तरह आपकी जो एक वीकनेस है वो आपकी 10 खूबियों को लेके डूबती है। डोंट अलाउ पीपल टू इग्नोर योर स्ट्रेंथ्स बिकॉज यू कांट करेक्ट अ वीकनेस दैट इज इन योर कंट्रोल। और एक ठीक करोगे तो दूसरी खड़ी हो जाएगी, दूसरी ठीक करोगे, वेलकम टू लाइफ। बट एक्सप्लेन टू मी how ignoring them is going to fix it. Whatever your weaknesses. इनको कुछ ना करने से, बिकॉज यूनिवर्सिटी खत्म होगी ना। मिल गई जो डिग्री, कागज का टुकड़ा मिल गया, उसको फ्रेम में लगा के दीवार पे ठोक दिया है और लिंक्डइन पे कॉपी डाल दिया, कर दिया ना। हाँ जी, अब क्या करें? And you think people like me don't, or other people who are dealing with you will not notice those weaknesses? आज किसी नौकरी पे इंटरव्यू पे जाओगे ना, तो ये दुआ करोगे कि यार वो ये ना पूछ ले। दुआ ये होती है, उसका जवाब नहीं सीखना, दुआ ये करनी है कि वो सवाल ना आए। So how long will you escape? How long will you run away? Because there is no running away. एक दफा बच जाओगे, दूसरी दफा पकड़े जाओगे। Okay? So, read this. It's very easy for me to say this than for you to do this. But believe me, there is not a word I have spoken today which I have not done myself. मैं सब जो बातें आपको कर रहा हूं, मैं गूगल कट एंड पेस्ट का बंदा नहीं। मैं हर काम अपने हाथों से करके आया हूं, यहां खड़ा हुआ। ओके, सो and it's important to stay committed to your vision, and the reason it's very important is that your people, the people that work for you, have to buy into that vision. Because if they've lost you, if they don't believe in you, then to them it's a job. And they will be with you till somebody pays them $1,000 extra. And before you know it, he'll be the one throwing his name tag on the table and going home. And again, when you don't have communication skills, guess what you can't do? You can't convey your vision. You can't talk to, and look for the word significance. Ask yourself today, are you significant? And you know what the definition of significance is? Are you worthy of attention? Even if you're sitting with 10 friends, this is not a business meeting, it's a 𝐂𝐬𝐬𝐡 meeting, right? Even if you're sitting with 10 friends, why should those 9 pay attention to you? Are you worthy of that attention? What do you say or what do you do that contributes to that sitting? And then people say, yaar, iski baat suno. Yeah, if you are the local joker, that's fine, they listen to you. Because you have some joke to crack or you have some incident to narrate. But you can't be cracking jokes all your life, right? So Dr. Arfa Zahra, in a live interview with me, once said कि आज़मिया शोहरत के पीछे मत जाना, मकबूलियत के पीछे जाना. And there's a big difference. Being famous and being liked by people are two different things. They're diametrically apart. Okay? So, I deliberately kept my introduction to the end because all the good parts need to come at the end. Because normally people introduce themselves, and this is not a political introduction, okay? So nobody laugh. So my journey started at 𝐒𝐞𝐚𝐝 College. And in this class, we are all 9 years old, and I don't know what we scored in our tests, but one thing I know that there are 4 kids in this class who wore the green jacket, who represented Pakistan in sports. And what are the odds of that today? Okay, so out of the 4 that represented Pakistan in sports, 2 are right here. And if you want to know where Khan Sahib is sitting, he's on the chair on the right side. I'm sure you can tell. Right? So moving on, then I worked for 48 years of my life. 21 years out of that were with the Aga Khan Development Network. I was working for Serena Hotels, okay? Being a hospitality person. And then Khan Sahib invited me to join his cabinet. And that was a lot of fun till we got unemployed. But tourism is what I was looking after. And I think this was God's revenge on me. Because for 40 years in tourism, I used to go and fight with the government and say, ye kyun nahi ho raha, wo kyun nahi ho raha, and then Allah Ta'ala said, chal tu baith, tu karna. And then he put me on the other side. And I said, oh my God, it's not as easy as doing this from the other side. So, I was an actor also. Recognize this guy on the left? A guy called Javed Sheikh. In the center is one of Sindh's, Pakistan's finest actor, Shafi Muhammad. He died, and what an amazing actor he was. And then when you acted, I used to act in serials, Bano Kutsia and Fatma Surya. मुझे easy नहीं लेना. समझो कि सिफारिशी है. What else? I'm a professional musician. And a lot of music that you hear today has my contribution. And in the 70s and the 80s, 𝐂𝐳a𝐦d and Salman and all used to be at my place, and we used to be playing in the basement. And so music has been a part of my life. It still is. I still play music virtually on a daily basis because it restores my sanity. I'm a commercial pilot also. So I know how to fly planes. And my daughter says, Abba, when will you decide what you want to do? I said, all in good time. Okay? And in my office, I had no degrees hanging This is what used to hang in my office. And people used to say, ये क्या है? मैं कहा लेके दिखाओ ना, पता चलेगा. So, back to 𝐻𝐶 College. And people ask me, Ji, what will be my benchmark of success? When will I know that I've become significant? And I tell them that the school that you attended invites you to be a chief guest. There can be no bigger achievement. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what car you drive. If the school you went to invites you to become chief guest, in some ways you've gotten it made. Salute that. And the Pakistan Air Force, I train pilots as well. And these pilots are about 10 years younger than my son. And I've been involved in training these people as well. So here's a rough synopsis. Okay, and I speak to students a lot here and overseas. I'm invited to various universities to speak to universities. Next month I'll be at NUST, inshallah, speaking to colleagues there, okay? And so over 80 large companies in Pakistan and overseas, I have taught and spoken to their management teams. And in the last about 30 years, this is what I've done. Okay? But don't be impressed with the 250 number. If you need to be impressed with this, that I've done this as a volunteer. I have not charged a single rupee. Because why have to pay back? Because you guys pick up that remote and you say कि ये खराब है, वो खराब है, और पाकिस्तान में ये खराब है. And my question to you is, when was the last time you picked up shopping plastic and put it in a dustbin on the street? When was the last time you did that? Good, excellent. That's so delightful to hear. Because all I hear is you guys criticizing the country. And sure, criticize it. But फैज साहब कहते थे उसकी तनकीद हराम है जिसमें हिस्सा नहीं डाला. हिस्सा भी डालो ना, फिर जितना मर्जी उसकी तनकीद करो. No issue at all. So we have time left, 5-10 minutes if there are any questions. I'm sorry I had to rush this because this is all Imran's fault. I told you I take 3 days to teach leadership. Imran gave me 1 hour. It's like 4 over रह गए 60 run करने हैं. अब ध्यान करें. This is what Imran told me. But I have to mention on record. Is this being recorded live? But I have to mention, this is a delightful project. I love it. It's so full marks to Imran and 𝐕𝐺 Asad. They've done such a delightful job. I tell you, मैं तो इस बिल्डिंग में स्वाय धक्के खाने के मेरी कोई और मेमोरी नहीं. Because हम सामान उठा के यहाँ पर और हाजियों के अंदर और सबके अंदर धक्के खा रहे होते थे. And today I came in and it was such a pleasant surprise. So Imran, well done. It's an amazing project. So any questions regarding this presentation or regarding anything else? If I have the answer, I'll attempt to give it to you. If not, then we'll look for it together. Ji. Yes. Always. Never ask. For 1 year I was Babar Azam's coach. Because Babar Azam wanted said, मैं कप्तान तो बन गया हूँ, मुझे क्रिकेट तो खेलनी आती है, but I need somebody to tell me what leadership is. I have to control a team now. I have to motivate the team now. I have to speak in front of 20 cameras now. I am Pakistan's ambassador. But he realized it himself. He is the one who asked for me. I didn't ask for him. And I salute the boy. He's, 24. He hasn't even gone through school. He dropped out of school. And he realized how important a coach is. So never be allergic to a coach. And you won't have one in your life. You have many in your life, yeah? And ask the right question to the right person. I'm shocked when people who are getting divorced, who the guy is asking? Another friend who's already divorced. He's the last person you should be asking. You ask a happily married couple, यार, उसने क्या कहना है जो तलाक करा के घर बैठा हुआ है? बेहतरीन idea. So ask the right questions and ask the right people. With pleasure. Anybody else? Ji. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I do mentorship sessions. I do individual mentorship sessions also. I do collective also. And my contact number, I'll read out my mobile numbers to you. So if you want to note them down, and you can send me a WhatsApp message and introduce yourself so that I know who's, I get thousands of WhatsApp messages. So should I be saying this on live television, my mobile number? Yeah, please, yeah. Because this is asking for trouble. I'm going to get live threats tomorrow. So, incidentally, please. They have my email and my mobile as well. Okay? Yeah. Send me an email, introduce yourself, educate me in what you do, and then, it will all end up in a gupshup session. Any other question? Yes? Yes? 100% होगा, बिल्कुल. देखिए, सवाल ये है कि focus doesn't mean attaching yourself to something that is evolving. Because if that evolves, then you're still stuck with, वो क्या था, Pentium 2? Remember there was a Pentium 2? When I was responsible for making the Islamabad Serena Hotel, I was in the project team. By the time the hotel started and by the time it finished, 5 Pentiums had come and gone. That's how quickly technology will change. So you can't be divorced from it, okay? But don't make the change disruptive. कि सारी चीज ही disrupt हो गई है. जो change time लगाता है उसको time लगाएं. ये नहीं है जी सुबह उठें तो जी क्योंकि तब्दीली आ गई है तो मैं भी तब्दील हो जाऊं. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. But to answer your question totally generically without knowing what you do is yes. As conditions change, as markets change, you will need to, 100%, or you'll be left behind. जी बेटा, वालसाम, या Beta, it's a good question. You came late. I had touched on this slightly before. देखो, whatever decision you make, at the time of making it, always calculate as best you can. It's not an exact science. Is to what the cost of backing off will be. If it's a bad decision, guess what happens? You lose money, right? So develop a habit, and this is not an exact science, but develop a habit of making exit plans. I'm doing this If it doesn't work, what happens? You know, I had a friend who was opening a restaurant. Before the restaurant opened, he had sold his restaurant equipment to the market. उसने कहा यार अगर नहीं चला तो तू मेरी पिज्जे वाली मशीन ले लेगा? उसने कहा ले लूंगा. उसने कहा तू मेरा ओवन ले लेगा? उसने कहा ले लूंगा. The guy had virtually sold off his entire restaurant before he even opened it. And guess what? He was so confident. He was still going to lose money. You can't open and shut down a business without losing money. But that percentage of loss is minimized if you have a way out. If you don't have a way out, you lose your shirt. And then you become like me. You will work for the rest of your life. I'm petrified of business. I'm the last person who should be lecturing you guys. मैं तो बिजनेस से इतना मुझे खौफ होता है, मैं तो सारी उम्र नौकरियां कर करके, मुझे तो लोगों ने कहा कि ये इधर पे लगा ले, वो लगा ले, तू हॉस्पिटैलिटी का आदमी है, होटल बना ले. मैं कहा जी मेहरबानी, तनख्वाह दो, एंड ऑफ द मंथ तनख्वाह दो. आई एम वन ऑफ दोज. बट यू गाइज आर a lot braver. My generation was not that brave. हमारी जनरेशन में बिजनेस किसने की है? जिनके वालिदैन बिजनेस करते थे उन्होंने बिजनेस की है. आपकी जनरेशन में वालिदैन don't have to be business people. You are the business people, which is so delightful for me. मैं तो सारी जिंदगी गला खुश कर गया लोगों को कह के कि नौकरियों की लाइनों में मत लगो. कितनी नौकरियां होंगी? 600 MBA हर साल हम निकाल रहे हैं, कौन सी इंडस्ट्री अब्सॉर्ब करेगी? बट यू गाइज रियली आर द लाइट एट द एंड ऑफ द टनल, बिकॉज यू गाइज आर अ लिटिल रेकलेस दैट आई लव. यू नो, वी वर रेकलेस ओनली इन इमोशन. कोई कुड़ी पसंद आ जाए तो रेकलेस होते थे, उसके अलावा नहीं. तनख्वाह दो. बट it's amazing. So yes, your parents probably are not business people, and you are. And my generation, my class fellows, crews and all, 99% of my class fellows who did business was only for one reason, is because their parents were doing the same business. That's no longer true, which for Pakistan is a wonderful thing. And thanks to people like Imran and Pervez Abbasi, who are taking you guys, and even me in some way, that I sit and talk to you people, and I help you and guide you and advise you, because we need people like you. And I'm not doing it for you, I'm doing it for Pakistan. I think you guys, if you do well, Pakistan will do well. Ji. Yes. Lovely question. If you're looking for an agreed, absolutely, very valid point. That if you're looking for exit plan, you'll always be a defeatist, right? कि मैं तो बस भागा ही भागा, and the first bad news you get because the exit plan is that you'll run. That's the downside of it. And yeah, but like I said, that life doesn't work like a Rolex, unfortunately, you know. And yes, to everything that you do, there will be a downside, because we're not discussing physics here, where I can tell you that this will always be equal to this. To every decision you make, for every advice I give you, there will be a downside. It's not a fill. And yes, once you start making exit plans, there could be a higher tendency to quit. Yeah, कि यार मेरे पास तो plan है, and you may bail out a lot before. If you don't have an exit plan, you probably still try to keep that aircraft flying, right? Otherwise, you look for your parachute cord and you say, okay, where do I jump? An absolutely valid point, and that's a price, that's the cost. Ji. देखो, I keep mentioning Noor Khan because everything I am today is because of this one man who I served for 3 years. When I was leaving him, you know, these air chiefs, always like to give advice as you're leaving because they want you to. And he said, I will always check your character in adversity. जब मुश्किल वक्त तेरे पे आएगा ना तो फिर मैं तेरी तरफ देखूंगा। अगर टेबल पे 3 वक्त की रोटी है और तुम लोग मुझे आके कहो जी हमने कभी खाना नहीं चुराया, तो कितने नफलों का सवाब है भाई। 3 दिन बच्चे भूखे रहे ना, फिर आके मुझे कहो कि मैंने खाना नहीं चुराया, फिर सलूट पड़ेगा। And he said that adversity you will face. And how, you know, if I have another presentation which I do on leadership, I've listed about 20 leaders in Pakistan that you guys have heard of. They are famous people. You know, Asad Umar and 𝐶𝐞𝐬𝐻. And these 20 leaders, I ask my students, whoever I'm talking to, what's common in them? And it's not education, it's not intelligence, it's not IQ. And you know the only thing that's common in that list of brilliantly successful people is they've all handled their failures well. Failure तो आना है, इसको avoid नहीं हो सकता. It's not a dice. ये जो तुम लोग सोचते हो ना या success है या failure है, that's only true अगर जुआ खेल रहे हो. But in life, for God's sake, जितनी दफा मुंह के बल मैं गिराऊं, आपकी सोच है. मेरा तो एक फेलियर लम्स में पढ़ाया गया था as a case study, and then they invited me to speak there, and one kid said आपका नाम बड़ा familiar है. मैं कहा मैं वही. And then 400 kids got up and applauded कि यार देखो यार, दिलेर तो है ना, अपना नाम तो दिया है कि ये बोंगी मैंने मारी है. And people used to interview me and said, सर आपने अपनी बदनामी कर ली है. मैंने कहा हो गई ना बदनामी. मैंने कहा अब लम से 25,000 बच्चा ग्रेजुएट करेगा जो ये गलती नहीं करेगा. ये मेरी कंट्रीब्यूशन है. दिस इज माय सर्विस टू द कंट्री कि मैंने बोंगी मारी ना, अब मैंने उसका इतना डोरा पीटना है ना कि हम कहते हैं यार चुप कर, ये हम साहिब को ना पता चले. हमारी जब पायलट्स की इंक्वायरी हुई कि जी पायलट्स हमारे उनकी सर्टिफिकेशन गलत है, हमसे सबसे ज्यादा रोना यह था कि दुनिया को क्यों बता दिया है. ये तो रोना नहीं था कि पायलट्स सर्टिफाइड नहीं है प्रॉपर्ली. हमारे इश्यूज और हैं. सो यस यू विल मेक मिस्टेक्स. मैं तो इमरान को कहता हूं कि मेरी मिस्टेक्स का एक सेशन करे, उस दिन इफ्तारी तक यहीं बैठना, बिकॉज वो इतने ज्यादा. एंड आई ओन देम एंड आई एम प्राउड ऑफ देम बिकॉज ऑफ देम आई हैव सक्सीडेड. तो एडवर्सिटी तो आनी है, उसको हैंडल कैसे करना है, दैट इज योर इंडिविजुअल स्ट्रेंथ. मेरे पास तो कई दफा हुआ आई डिडंट नो वेयर माय नेक्स्ट मंथ्स रेंट वाज कमिंग फ्रॉम. हेलो. और ये समझ रहे होगे यार, ये तो 23 साल की उम्र में इसको हुआ है. मुझे 50 साल की उम्र में नहीं पता था कि मेरा रेंट कहां से आ रहा है. Then I had 3 grown-up kids. Welcome to life. This is going to happen. How you handle these things, and some you'll handle well, and some you won't handle well. Why won't you handle them not well? Because you're human, yaar. You will make mistakes. फैज साहब कहते हैं, जिस दिन से हरदम डरते रहे वो दिन तो कितनी बार आया. 100 बार बसे और उजड़ गए, 100 बार लुटे और फिर पाया. उस दिन की क्यों फिक्र करें जब दिल टुकड़े हो जाएगा. तुम अपनी करनी कर गुजरो, जो होगा देखा जाएगा. Thank you very much, Ji. God bless you. Thank you for having me. It's a real privilege.
So thank you very much. We're honored and humbled to have you with us. So एक छोटा सा टोकर
मेरे लिए
Yes.
तोहफा.
Yes.
Right.
So that
always.
But this is just the beginning of our relationship.
Yeah, this is, I tell you, you have me roped in. हाँ, होता है ना कि you know that spider's web that waits for the first insect? This is your web and I'm that. Oh my God, it's the space shuttle. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm very grateful.
It's a bit different than what you usually get.
Thank you so much. This is a great honor. Thank you so much. This will go into my office right now. Let us clear down.
Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, so take my number from NICAT and send me an email. My email address is very simple. It's aj@azamjameel.com. So that's very easy to remember. It's aj@azamjameel.com. Send me an email and then we'll be in touch. हाँ, communication skill मेरे मथे ना लगना. अगर communication skill मेरे मथे लग गए